What is the worst part of having a child? As a parent, one of the toughest things is the constant state of worry that comes with the territory. It's like having a part of your heart walking around outside of your body, and any hurt or disappointment they experience feels like it's happening to you tenfold. However, we know that we can't protect them from everything, and we should let them learn how to handle difficult situations on their own. The challenge is finding that balance between being a protective parent and giving our children the space they need to grow and become independent individuals. It can be a difficult and emotional struggle, but at the end of the day, seeing our children thrive and succeed makes it all worth it. When our kids cry or express their hurt feelings, it can feel like a knife in the heart. Even worse is when they accuse us of breaking their hearts because we won't allow them to do something dangerous. The worst part of having a child for me would be the possibility of losing them. I recently experienced the unimaginable pain of losing my 15-year-old son unexpectedly. He had no previous health conditions, and we still don't know the cause of his death. It's a pain that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Every aspect of parenting comes with its own set of challenges, but nothing can compare to the agony of losing a child. The thought of it is a constant reminder that having a child is a risk that we take, and there is nothing we can do to prevent the possibility of our world being shattered in an instant. I am deeply sorry for your loss. I cannot even imagine the pain you must be going through. It's heartbreaking to hear about sudden deaths like this. I remember my friend passing away suddenly at around the same age, and it turned out he had a heart condition that had gone unnoticed for years. My heart goes out to you and your family during this difficult time. While having a child can bring immeasurable joy and fulfillment, it's also a significant responsibility that comes with its own set of challenges. One of the most significant drawbacks of having a child is the loss of freedom that comes with it. As a parent, you are responsible for your child's well-being, and that means you can no longer make spontaneous decisions about where you want to go or what you want to do. Even with older children, there is still a lot of planning and preparation involved in going somewhere. You need to ensure that your child is adequately fed, dressed, and entertained, and that you have everything you need to take care of them while you're out. This can be exhausting and time-consuming, and it can leave parents feeling like they never have a moment to themselves. Yeah, the loss of individual freedom is tough. One of the toughest aspects of having a child is the constant worry about how the world will treat them. It's natural to want to shield our children from any harm or negativity, but we can't always control their environment or the actions of others. Whether it's dealing with bullying at school or the possibility of facing discrimination or injustice in society, the thought of our child being mistreated or hurt is a constant source of anxiety for many parents. I'll never forget the first time I saw another child being mean to my daughter, and how hard it was to maintain my composure and remind myself that the other child was just a child. One of the most challenging things about having a child is their complete lack of self-preservation. Kids can be incredibly creative and imaginative, which can lead to them coming up with all sorts of dangerous ideas or behaviors that put themselves at risk. As a parent, it's our responsibility to keep our children safe, but it can be exhausting and overwhelming to always be on high alert, anticipating the next potential hazard. Whether it's a toddler who loves to climb and explore or a teenager who takes risks without fully considering the consequences, it can be challenging to balance giving our children the freedom they need to grow and develop with the need to protect them from harm. It's a delicate balance that requires constant vigilance and a lot of energy. My 3-year-old son has a globe with name tabs that go into the continents. One day, while he was having a nap, we told him to put the continents away. But before we knew it, he had tried to swallow one of the name tags, right in front of us. He began to choke, and we were grateful that we were both there to intervene. We had to put the globe away for a while, but incidents like these can happen in the blink of an eye. The hardest part of having a child is the impact it can have on your relationship. Even when you plan for a child, the added responsibility, stress, and sleepless nights can take a toll on your marriage or partnership. My spouse and I found ourselves constantly arguing, and it took a while for us to figure things out and get back on track. It's not easy, but communication and patience are key. Having a child can really take a toll on your relationship. My partner and I thought we were ready, but the lack of sleep, the responsibility, and everything else was overwhelming. I even experienced postpartum depression, which made things even harder. We had discussions about divorce, but we worked through it and now we're doing well. It took some time and effort, but we finally figured things out. The most difficult part of having a child is when they have severe physical or mental difficulties. For me, it's my daughter who has a severe mental illness. When you're pregnant, you imagine a perfect life for your child where they excel in academics, make friends, and lead a normal life. But sometimes, genetics can play a cruel role, and some kids don't have the life you imagined for them. It's hard to accept that life can be unfair and your child may struggle with things that others take for granted. I was diagnosed with AD but likely had undiagnosed autism. Growing up was a hellish experience for my parents and me, as I struggled with social cues and found myself in the principal's office on a weekly basis. Well, for me, the toughest part about having a child is the lack of alone time. Before becoming a parent, I used to be able to relax and unwind by watching TV or playing my guitar, but now I barely get an hour to myself every few days. And even then, it's usually late at night when I'm already exhausted. It can be challenging to constantly be on with work and parenting responsibilities without any downtime to recharge. Don't get me wrong, I love my kids more than anything, but it's definitely a struggle. Same story. I personally cherish the hours between 10 p.m. and midnight, as they are my prime time for winding down and engaging in activities that I enjoy. For me, the toughest aspect of having a child is dealing with the aftermath of divorce. My ex and I may not be together anymore, but we will always be connected through our children. It is difficult to navigate co-parenting and stay on the same page with my ex. Plus, it can be tough for me to see my kids spending time with their other parent and not being able to be there with them. I personally have a restraining order against my abusive ex-husband, and yet I'm forced to see him 3 times a week because of our children. It's soul-crushing to have a constant reminder of that pain in my life. I often feel guilty for wishing my children's childhood away just so I don't have to deal with him anymore. The constant transitions they go through as they grow up. From being a baby to a toddler, then to a little kid and eventually a big kid, time flies by quickly. As a parent, my love for my child continues to grow, but it can be scary to think that sooner or later they will be out in the world. And as adults, we understand just how tough the world can be. It's both beautiful and frightening to watch them grow and mature. I can relate to this so much. My child is still a baby, but I know that time flies by so quickly, and before I know it, she'll be a little kid, then a big kid, and eventually an adult out in the world. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to Answerly Stories for more interesting real-life experiences.